Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I have a bit of an impromptu change of plans. My keyboard stopped working like today, so it cannot sing the songs that I had planned. But I actually, if you follow me on Twitter, you may have noticed that I did a quickie video for one of my songs that I was planning to do today and put it up there. So I'm going to play that to start, and we'll see what happens for the last song. But please enjoy. This is one of my favorite Poulenc songs, Reine des Mouettes, one of those great songs, which is beautiful poetic language, but probably about sex. And here we go. Reine des Mouettes, mon enfant, je t'aimerai et je m'en souviens, sous les plumes mousselines, et ton deuil ancien. Rose d'aimer au baiser qui chagrine, tu te laissais accorder à mes mains, sous les plumes mousselines, voile de Noël. Rougis, rougis, mon baiser te devine, poète prise en des grands les deux boîtes, mon féline, tu étais rose accordée à mes mains, rose sous les mousselines, et je m'en souviens. And with that, let me bring back your host, Adam Bailey.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Kristin, and thank you all for joining us today. We have a great show for you today. We have Janelle Hanna, TikTok star, joining us, and before that, we'll be joined by Veronica Swartz, a woman who writes for the Beaverton. But first, there's just so much to talk about this week. Let's start with this morning. This morning I woke up, I look at the news, and the Canadian media is all over this funeral that we were having. Our monarch, Queen Elizabeth, was mourning the loss of her favorite cousin, Prince Philip. And you might know that they were very close for cousins. They both publicly admitted how close they were as cousins. It was an unusual relationship, but Prince Philip, he lived 99.9 years, and now he is gone. We have lost him. And the Canadian media, they were going on and on and on about how we need to be proud that we were a constitutional monarchy. They kept talking about us being a constitutional monarchy. But all over my social media feeds about Canada, I'm hearing that we're living in a police state, specifically in Ontario, thanks to another confusing as fuck lockdown, thanks to Doug Ford. I finally got to reuse one of the graphics that I've made for this show. less work for me. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, Ontario has become one of the global hotspots in the coronavirus pandemic, and we're already above 4,000 new cases a day. Scientific modeling has us set up to be at over 10,000 new cases per day by mid-May. This is really quite serious, and Rob Ford has been playing with the word lockdown, moving things around the edges of what needs to happen. You might recall the last time I brought this up, haircutters were closed, but for some reason, golf courses were open. We had malls open so that seniors could go walking in them, but obviously people still went there for retail purposes. It's absolutely nuts when the majority of these cases are happening in warehouses and at schools. There's something needs to be done, and the scientific community has gone at Doug Ford to do something about this. And last night he decided what needed to happen was to close children's playgrounds. Ontario's new COVID restrictions have the science absolutely upside down, experts say, and our essential workers, like grocery store employees, are filled with anxiety as they continue to go to work in hotspot areas. This reminds me of the Simpsons episodes where we find out that Ned Flanders' parents were beatniks with no sense of how to use their authority as parents. You know the meme. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. This is where we are in the province of Ontario. And I'd like to blame it strictly on Doug Ford's incompetency, but let's not forget that this is a man that we voted into office based off of his promise that he would deliver us Bucka beer. That's right, everybody. Doug Ford deregulated alcohol pricing in Ontario, allowing us to have Bucka beer. Isn't that great? And you know, after that election, after that huge fight for Bucka beer, only one company delivered on that, giving us $1 beer. And it was undrinkable because beer costs more than $1 to make, thanks to something called inflation. And Doug Ford should understand that. He should be a better politician than he is. He is incompetent, but why? And you know, a lot of people want to give him malice of intent, and I don't actually think that's the case. I think that Doug Ford has simply been following a political framework that has been passed down through conservatism and has actually influenced liberal and left politics as well, something that economic historians call the Reagan-Thatcher consensus. That's right. Just about everything bad that's happened in the past 40 years in Western civilization is because of these two fucknuts. Now, you might remember them for their hatred of gays or their invention of trickle-down economics. But one of the big philosophies they had was the basic idea that government was supposed to do as little as possible. It's basically a steward for business. They sell their regions to businesses, and they should really kind of keep themselves out of the marketplace as much as humanly possible. And when your politicians are following that philosophy, they're not actually going to be the sorts of leaders that can take on big challenges. These aren't project managers we're cultivating in conservative politics. These are slash men who go in and look for whatever they can get rid of. And I thought this was just my personal opinion, but the Globe and Mail this morning also agreed with me that we've hit this pandemic harder than we could thanks to an epidemic of mediocre government. And oddly, I think this is why someone like Joe Biden has been doing so well in office, because, man, Joe Biden's so old, he was in government way before that black and white photo of Thatcher and Reagan. And if someone knows how to dust off those levers of government actually doing something, it appears that this guy actually is the person who can do it. And he's proven to be one of the most progressive leaders that we have in the Western world, shockingly, after a career of being a centrist in the US Senate. But let's get back to this lockdown, because something else happened. It's not just about closing down playgrounds. Yesterday, Doug Ford increased police powers in the province of Ontario, allowing them to stop any civilian walking outside of their home or in a car for no reason whatsoever. And this is a nightmare, especially for people who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color. I think we all are aware that police shootings and police violence are a real issue. And statistics have come up recently that show that the majority of police shootings actually happen during minor police interactions, not major ones. I think it's over 50%. And that's truly a nightmare. This week alone, we saw in the same city where they're holding the trial over the murder of George Floyd, another police shooting. Dante Wright, seen here with his 2-year-old child, was shot by a police officer after a traffic stop due to outdated stickers on the back of his license, and he was hanging an air freshener on his mirror. Complete minor violations that led to his death. And the police apologists are bringing up the fact that the police officer who shot Dante Wright intended to use a taser as opposed to her handgun, and could not feel the difference between these two things because the weight difference between them is in ounces. And I have to say something. I was a waiter in a fine dining restaurant, and I had to be able to hand pour at the table a perfect 5-ounce glass of wine. every single time. And it's not just me who had to do that. There's an entire field of bartending called full air bartending. You know, like in Tom Cruise Cocktail, where they juggle things in the air and they do stunts like this on your screen, and they can pour perfectly measured cocktails every single time. And you know what these people get paid outside of tips? Minimum wage. Do you want to know what the woman who shot Dante Wright got paid? $90,000 US per year. And it's the person who got paid minimum wage who actually knows the difference in the ounceage that would have saved Dante Wright's life. He should still be alive right now, and I can't believe we have to keep saying this again and again and again, but Black Lives Matter. And we need to do something about this. If you live in Ontario, while these draconian police stops are going to start happening, make sure that you're taking out your phone, make sure that you're making sure that your friends are okay, make sure that you're videotaping interactions with police and people of color and Black people. This is going to be really, really important for the next 6 weeks of our lockdown. I'd like to, try to make some humor out of this, but I absolutely cannot. It's too serious. One thing I will do is recommend a book that has come out, and I absolutely love listening to this woman on the talk circuit. Heather McGhee has written a book called The Sum of Us. And this book is about how anti-Black racism actually hurts everybody. Her big symbol in the center of the novel is what happened after desegregation in the States, where most cities were using the public dollar to fund things like open swimming pools that everyone could use. Now, pre-segregation, everyone meant only white people, but post-segregation, that obviously meant everyone. Unfortunately, most cities decided to fill in or close their public swimming pools as opposed to keeping them open post-segregation. In fact, it was that decision to close down public utilities that the government was spending their money on that led to the distrust in government spending in the 1970s, which led to Reagan coming in with his anti-government philosophies that government should do as little as possible, which has led us to a culture where politicians are basically incompetent. So yeah, I think the premise of her book is right. But since we're on recommendations, there is one more recommendation I need to give for you, and that is a podcast that I am appearing on right now. Well, not me, my words, something called Streams and Variations. And you can find this on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. I am on episode 6, and it's a really neat show where a songwriter or a poet will start us off, and then someone has to write a monologue based off of the song that they heard. And then someone writes a song based off of the monologue that they get to read. And then it goes on and on until they've created a 45-minute episode. In fact, the 2 people who invented this podcast will be our guests on our next show on May 15th. But enough about May 15th. Let's get going with today, and let's bring back your co-host, Kristin Mueller-Heaslip.
Hello.
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 My impassioned monologue today.
Very impassioned. It was very, very full of many passions. But I have a proposal for you.
A proposal?
Yes.
I'm already married.
No, not that kind of proposal. A very decent
You're
one.
married too.
I am all.
No,
okay. So at the beginning of the show, I said, "Hey, everyone, like a complete dork. We need to come up with a name for our viewers."
Like the cheeseheads for the
yes, hey cheeseheads, something I can say off the top of the show and say, "Yo, cheeseheads, welcome to."
I think we just solve that right there.
No. So because we don't want to say like, "Hey, boys and girls," because I want to be gender inclusive, but I also can't say "folks" because I lived in Toronto during the Rob Ford era, and hearing the word "folks" makes me want to like commit murder, right? Because it enrages me so much. So let's come up with some ideas. What can we call the beautiful people who watch our show?
Rat bastards?
Rat bastards. Hey, rat bastards. We can just be like, "Yo, assholes. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe."
I don't want to ask that's too body for our show. Our show is never that body.
That's true. Rat bastards. We could be like, because these tend to be either insults or kind of a bit cutesy. We could be like, "Ahoy, mateys. Welcome to the show." We could go piratey.
Ahoy, mateys. I like that. I was like citizen.
Citizens.
Still communist. Hey, citizens.
No, that would be comrades.
Right. Okay. So I've often thought, because I don't use a prefix for my name, and I always say that citizen would be the one that I would use with my name if I used one. It would be Citizen Bailey.
Citizen Bailey. I like that. That's what people called each other in the French Revolution instead of using titles.
Oh, I don't like, because I don't like mine. So
there
that makes
go.
a lot of sense.
Citoyen Bailey. There we go.
Citoyen Bailey.
Citoyen.
I feel like I'm appropriating revolutionary French culture now, and those guys have guillotines, so I want to be careful with that.
There you go.
But that's enough of the past. Do we have any predictions for the future this week, Kristin?
Sure. Why don't we predict the future? I can't even play a song if I wanted to for this one because my keyboard died. We have something, I don't know. Do you have any predictions? I have one thing to talk about here.
Oh, what's this?
Novel HIV vaccine approach shows promise in landmark first in human trial. This is, I don't understand this very well. I'm not a scientist, but apparently this is based in some way off of the COVID vaccines that have been developed, of the mRNA, or whatever it is, vaccine technology. So this is great, making HIV something that you can be vaccinated for instead of, it's like a chronic disease now, but it's still pretty bad, right? You still don't want to get it. So if we can do that.
I think even in Canada, it costs thousands of dollars a month to treat your HIV. And in the States where they don't have the same medicine that we do, it might even cost more per month. So that's pretty good. I would take this and predict more orgies in the future because gay culture in the 70s before AIDS broke out was quite the party center. However, knowing that millennials and zillennials don't fuck as much as their preceding generations, I question whether or not that would be the case, because everyone's kind of interacting online now, and it doesn't really matter if you can contract it. You can't contract anything. Well, you can get a computer virus.
You can get a computer virus. Maybe they'll make a vaccine for that one. Harking back to our last conversation, we actually have 2 suggestions from the chat for collective nouns for our viewership. Mark Gorsey suggests pod people. Hey, pod people. It doesn't roll off the tongue all that well, but I'll think about it. And Mad Muppet 21, thank you so much for giving me a dumb name to read on the podcast, on the show. I'm so happy about that. Suggest goobers. Hey, goobers.
Hey, goobers?
Yeah.
I prefer goobers? I don't know. Pod people I like, because it makes me feel like I'm going to take something over.
Fraggles. I've been watching Fraggle Rock with my kids, by the way, and it's great. Hey, Fraggles.
I like that. Hey, Fraggles.
Hey, Fraggles. Except no one knows what Fraggle Rock. Completely off topic. Did you know that great Canadian writers were involved in creating Fraggle Rock? Everyone go watch Fraggle Rock after the show's done. The theme song was written by Dennis Lee. Famous poet B.P. Nichol wrote several episodes, so it's a Canadian literary history.
And there's actually also some big philosophy inside Fraggle Rock too, because it's a lot about perception and how your perception changes depending on, because everyone has a different perception of how the world works based off of their social circumstance, whether they're a doozer or a Fraggle or the trash heap or the gnomes or the humans or the dog. They do a lot of philosophy on perception.
Oh my God, I did not know that me and Adam were both fans of Fraggle Rock, but there we go.
You don't know that about Fraggle Rock. Our next guest reminds me a lot of a human Fraggle. If I could think what human being reminds me the most of a Fraggle, I would say that it is the person that we're going to call up now. And we'll do our coffee thing at the end of the show. Cool. Put the slide up right now. Buy us a coffee. Do the thing with the coffee. Like us, subscribe if you enjoy the show.
You can leave a comment if you want, but we probably won't read it or do anything with it.
Yeah, we're not looking at the comments that much, but it helps the algorithm thing. So subscribe, buy us a coffee. We'll read your name on the air if you buy us a coffee.
Yes, I have one name to read. Thank you so much, Corinne Turner, for buying us a coffee. You're so very welcome. And I again reiterate, whatever name you put in that box, unless it is obviously a slur or a really bad insult, I will read it on the air. So please be creative. Call yourself something silly.
Fantastic.
Hey, goober number 1.
Goober number 1. Oh no! Every week it's going to be a different goober now. Oh no! I think that something has happened. Anyways, let's bring on our first guest this week, human Fraggle, writer for the Beaverton, and chef Veronica Schwartz.
Hi. Oh,
hello, Veronica. How are you?
Can you see me? Oh, hi.
Hello.
The other human Fraggle. We're both Muppets.
We are both Muppets.
You know, yeah. I'm so happy to be here. Honestly, like I haven't talked to anyone outside of my family in like a year. So it's just like such a relief to talk to other people. I feel like one of those old people at the bank who take up all the time of the teller. You know what I mean?
I do PSW
Like,
work.
I haven't talked to anyone in 20 years, so I'm gonna talk your ear off. So sorry.
Hey, it's fine. We're glad to have you here and to have a chance to talk to you. Now, as I told everyone already, you are a writer for the Beaverton, which I think is, Canada's favorite satire magazine. It competes with the Onion, which is a similar magazine from the US. I think the Beaverton is better. I laugh at more Beaverton headlines than Onion headlines. So could you tell us a little bit about that? What was your first Beaverton headline?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember, honestly. I started working for them last year. I don't know. Do you have screenshots of them? I'd have to
I don't have a screenshot of them. I didn't think of doing that for you. I'm so sorry. But what was what have been your favorite stories to cover with the Beaverton?
Well, I have to look at them because there's been a few. But oh gosh. What was my last one? Jason Kenney something.
Oh yeah, Jason Kenney, because you're joining us from Alberta, which, as far as conservatism goes, is Ontario's kissing cousin. They definitely have an interesting thing happening out there. Jason Kenney, how are things happening in Alberta right now?
Alberta is way behind Ontario when it comes to the vaccines, which is kind of surprising because our healthcare system is so much better. You know how long it took me to get a doctor? One day. I got a doctor in a day. And that doesn't happen in Ontario.
No, it doesn't. It took me a decade to get a GP. It took you a day to get a GP in Alberta?
Yeah. I know, right? It doesn't make sense, but that happens. So
wow. So you've moved from Ontario to Alberta. You're living in Calgary. You have a GP, and we're all very happy for you. That is fantastic. You're working for the Beaverton, and I'm sure we can find some headlines to put into the comments later. And you also have a thing that you're doing called Dame Cooks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, sure. So I've always felt like my purpose in life was to cook for people and to feed people. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was staying with you. I was staying with Adam for a little while. And there was a pizza place in the neighborhood that had like a $7 large pizza every Wednesday. And so I had to buy it, $7, right? And I would give slices away to people who lived on the street. And that's, I think, the moment where I realized that that was, part of my purpose in this life. And so when I moved back to Thunder Bay, I started to work for a place called Shelter House, or volunteer for a place called Shelter House, and cook for people for free, basically. And I thought I wanted to teach people how to feed themselves for very little money. And it started out as I wanted to teach people how to feed themselves for less than $5 a day. And food prices have changed. And logistically, it doesn't really make sense, I guess, because food prices are different everywhere, right? So like in Toronto, food is so much cheaper than it is in the rest of the country. And so I could never really fully get my idea off the ground. Like I taught classes. I took classes in business, and I couldn't really get it. Like without fundraising, it didn't make sense. So I decided that the best thing to do would be to just post my food on Instagram and list the ingredients and the price of what I was making. And it would be the least, what's the word I'm looking for? There's Jamie Oliver trying to do the same thing. And Jamie Oliver was not successful. He had a show where he did this. He went to like this small town in America, and he was like trying to teach people how to cook instead of like making frozen food. And they were all like, "What are you doing here? How dare you?" You know, they didn't care.
Oh, no.
And you know, he went in to see this like family of 7, and they had 2 parents and 5 kids. And he's like, "Look how easy it is to make a steak and vegetables. And instead of cooking frozen pizzas, it only costs $1. Like, buddy, you don't know. you're rich, you know?" So I found that like you can't really preach this to people. Like you have to lead by example. And that's what I've always tried to do.
That
So
sounds fantastic.
What's that?
I said, that sounds fantastic. So what happens now is that people go to your Instagram and you have affordable recipes on your Instagram with the photo of the food that they can, if they want to, they're like, okay, this is a healthy item that I can have. You've made something healthy. There's a protein, there's vegetables involved, and it's affordable so long as you're not none of it. And you can like definitely live off that. And you're using Alberta prices, because you are right. Outside of Ontario, as you go west, food gets more expensive until you hit like Vancouver, I think, like just because of where the farming regions are in the country, and that the prairies is a very monocropped region. So there's not as much food out there. Yeah. So that's important. So we're going to put that down, that information down in the down below on our YouTube video so that people can find that for you. If you want to shout out what your Instagram is right now so people can find it if they don't read the down below.
Oh, my Instagram is just my name.
At Veronica Schwartz. Excellent. And will you do the news with us when we come back?
Of course. Yeah.
Fantastic. So just hold it in there for one moment. I'm going to bring up our next guest, who is Janelle Hanna. And Janelle Hanna is a TikTok celebrity from Toronto. And we actually have some samples of her work. So let's bring that on up right now. And when that's done, we'll be talking to Janelle Hanna.
The stay-at-home order's ending. Yes, it's been like 2.5 months. Yeah, we're moving back to the framework. Where are we in the framework? We are in lockdown. Wait, what? We were just in that though. No, we were in a stay-at-home, now we're in lockdown. What's the difference? Lockdown is gray. The difference is its color? Stay-at-home is 3 words, lockdown is 1 or 2, depending on who you talk to. Okay, that doesn't really seem any different. We can hang with people outside. We can hang with people outside. The malls are open. Wait, why are malls open? They are essential. How are you here if we're not supposed to have people over? Okay, I am you with glasses and a different shirt. Oh my God. Honey, here's a list of reasons why you should want to hire me. Okay, I'm a real self-starter. Give me a task and I will run with it. You won't have to worry about it, okay? I did not finish this list. So we're all in agreement we're gonna call it Family Day. Sorry, we're gonna call it Islander Day because then it's for everybody. Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry, we're gonna call it Nova Scotia Heritage Day. We're gonna call it Louis Riel Day. Sorry. Okay, call it whatever you like, but we all have to be on the same page about when it is or it will get confusing. Now we were thinking, oh, sorry, what about in the summer? Everybody loves summer. Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry, what about the fall while the weather's still nice? No, it's going to be the 3rd Monday in February right after Valentine's Day because it's already a time of love and family. Okay, majority rules. We're doing it on a Friday. Are you at least going to call it Family Day? No. Did you just not invite us to this meeting? I sent an email. We're moving out of shutdown. Oh, no, we just did this bit. Yeah, we're moving in the framework. What? I'm not ready. Where are we in the framework? We are in stay-at-home. We were just in that though. No, we were in shutdown, now we're in stay-at-home. What is the difference? Shutdown was shutdown and stay-at-home is stay-at-home. Why didn't they do this before the long weekend? They were pulling the emergency brake. Pushing the gas. That just doesn't cut the mustard. They acted immediately. Really? They are nimble and quick. They do not know what they're doing. Well, honey, I guess it is time to move. We are on a break. Have you been outside? He told me he loved me.
That is hilarious. Okay, Janelle Hannah. Hey,
Hi, how's it going?
it's going pretty good. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
I'm so happy to be here. And listen, thank you for calling me a TikTok celebrity because my nieces and nephews, I mean, if that doesn't get me some street cred with them, I don't know what will. So thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries. It's a real form of celebrity, and those videos are absolutely hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
I'm sorry if I stepped on any of your material in the opening, but we just had to move from shutdown to emergency to whatever last night, so I had to address it.
It changes so fast. I can't keep up with the videos anymore. He's outpacing me.
But it doesn't change so fast is the thing, because the color changes, but the impact doesn't.
No.
Like, there were still people out shopping today.
Right.
Like, I was out doing some of my PSW work, and there were people with bags in their hands and doing stuff. And I'm just like, where are you getting things from?
Well, and I think that's part of the fatigue, right? With all the changes or non-changes. I think, and we're learning certainly now the effects of it and what's going to happen. But I think if we had made the changes like his own science table wanted him to make, months ago, we might not be in the situation we're in. But good golly, what a time. What a time.
What a time. We got to be smug Canadians for so much of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And then that switch from Trump to Biden just like crushed that on us. And now it's like, oh no, we're the redheaded stepchild of this now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're feeling a lot in Ontario today. We're feeling a lot. Like, I've only spontaneously broken into tears once, which is great for me. But
was it because of Philip?
Listen, I missed all that. As I told you, my Twitter's been down. So I feel like I don't know what's going on today. That's the other.
He's dead.
panic.
He's 99 years old. Now he's dead.
Poor guy.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer colonizer. I'm going to go to hell for that one. So you're on TikTok, which is this new medium. What drew you? Because I know you as a stage performer.
Totally. Yeah.
And now you've done the pivot to a social media performance, and it's working for you. What drew you to TikTok as opposed to like YouTube, where we are, or doing Facebook Live, or doing anything else? What's the difference about TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give some credit to my good friends, Devin Poole and Nick Arnold, who really encouraged me to get on that app, because I was very hesitant a year ago to do it. But I think what I love is it's short and it's quick, and you can, make a little sketch. It's actually quite an interesting app to create in. I mean, there's too many features. I'm a millennial because the whole time, like, there's too many features. Like, we could take away some features, TikTok, but it's actually quite an ingenious app once you get the hang of it, how to create within the app itself. And I just think there's a community for everybody on there. Literally, whatever you're into, you can find it on TikTok. So I just think, it's we had all this time at home too. And so I started by just kind of watching, and then eventually started creating. And especially in the last couple of months, it's taken off. Niche is big on TikTok. So my niche is usually mustaches and relationship stuff. But this lockdown stuff kind of started to take off, and I had to put this rage somewhere. So I try and make it into a sketch to do something productive with it.
Now, where can people find your TikTok?
Yeah. So at Janelle M. Hannah is my handle, which is pretty much my handle on all the social medias. So you can find me there.
Fantastic. Now, you know that we do a news segment on this show. And I mean, you and Veronica are both very, very funny people who do topical humor. Do you want to do the news segment with us?
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Fantastic. So why don't we bring back everyone to the screen, Kristin Mueller-Heaslip and Veronica Schwartz. And I think it's time for us to do what she's making a face.
I was smiling. I'm sorry. I always feel like whenever I have to click on shit, like it makes me do a weird facial expression. So I'm like, I will.
Your concentration face.
I know. Anyway, here we go. Stop. Stop. Do that again. Sorry, I still have the video thing clicked. I have to unclick that. There we go. It's time for This is a News segment. This is the segment where we talk about the news. And as we've already talking about important things in the course of this show, this is a dumb comedy show. Just because we don't talk about something doesn't mean we don't care or it's not important. That said, we only have extremely serious and important news this week. So here we go. First story. Egypt impounds the Ever Given ship over a $90 million Suez Canal compensation bill. And we thought the big boat that couldn't was finally on its way, but it's not. It's in boat jail.
It's in boat jail. Oh my goodness. Veronica, since you help people with their budgeting, what would you say to these people who have lost their evergreen ship on the Suez Canal?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know about the boat? It was the boat that was stuck. Remember the boat that got stuck a few weeks ago?
Oh, the boat that was stuck. Yes, I remember that. Yay.
So
I can't believe that collapsed our whole economy. I ordered so many things from China that never showed up. And I didn't realize that it was because of the shipping. You know how many of those like crates like fell into the ocean while they were traveling here? It's crazy.
What? Crates from that boat fell into the ocean?
What's that?
You're telling us that crates from those boats fell into the ocean while they were trying to figure that out?
Like so many of the boats that are delivering our stuff from Amazon have fell into the ocean.
Oh my God.
So it's not just
I might have to explain our next story, but I want a boat take from Janelle before we move on.
Listen, I love some of the news stories in 2021. It's like, hold my beer 2020. We just keep getting better. This boat story is the story that keeps on giving, really.
It gives us large plastic particles in the water because it's not just particles anymore. It's full on Amazon orders just overboard in the ocean.
Yeah, forget about it. Yeah. I ordered a Godzilla toy. I'm never getting it.
Well, you're not the only one. There's apparently a serious shortage of garden gnomes in the UK due directly to the boat blockage. So there's also been an increase in people creating gardens, which is great, being stuck at home, trying to, do something positive. But people do want a nice little cheerful gnome in their garden and they just cannot get one.
I mean, listen, at one point it was, we were running out of hair dye at one point. We're running out of bicycles and now it's the gnomes. I mean, that's what I need to do. I need to start a gnome business, feed it through my TikTok. That's what I need to do. I need work now. Thank you.
Handcrafted garden gnomes.
I'm on it.
Do it.
Veronica, do you have any thoughts on gnomes, considering I introduced you as a human Fraggle?
Yeah, they're horrible. And why would anyone want them? Oh
no. This is my big business plan.
I just found out you're bigoted against gnomes.
I care about shoes. Send me the shoes. I don't care about the gnomes.
Okay. All right. I'll get into the shoe business. I mean, I'll pivot. I pivoted to TikTok. I'll pivot to shoes.
All right.
Kristin, do you have anything to add to that? Because you were in a show where your co-stars were a bunch of garden gnomes.
Yeah, I actually also couldn't buy garden gnomes then. I made some garden gnomes out of felt because we needed like 5 gnome props. And like they were also like you couldn't buy a garden gnome, but I think that was just seasonal because it was like October. So I still have them in my house somewhere. Maybe I should sell them. This appears to be
huge markup on gnomes right now.
I'm so sorry. They must be haunting your house.
No, they're cute little plush gnomes though. So they're cute. They maybe wouldn't be great in your garden, so never mind. But
this is a good pivot. This is a good pivot.
Yeah.
You can sell your gnomes to the British who don't have Prince Philip and don't have their gnomes now. They're very sad, the British.
So they can cry themselves to sleep cuddling their garden gnomes. Excellent. Well, with some, more various serious news, this is some food news. A Montreal bakery has, I love this phrase, pioneered the penis waffle.
Oh, yummy. Phone number?
No, but I'm sure this can be found on the internet. I don't know if they deliver to Calgary, but I'll send you a care package.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Honestly, they look pretty good. I would probably go and buy one, but you know, I don't think it's in my neighborhood. But I will make a special trip to buy one and eat it on air, I guess. I don't know.
I love how they say penis waffle as if it's something that already just exists. Like, you know, I love it.
Yeah.
Veronica,
I'd eat those,
you would eat
definitely.
there? Is this something that you would feature on your Instagram? You know, like this is the affordable way to make a penis waffle. This is the healthy version of a penis waffle. Those penis waffles are sweet. This is a savory dinner time penis waffle. Could you make us one like with broccoli and cheese?
Oh my God, no. Like, I wouldn't eat falafel even if it was shaped like a penis.
That's the quote of the show right there.
I'm sorry, I hate falafel so much.
What about a nice whole wheat penis waffle? You know, like you make like with that white whole wheat flour. You could probably make a good one. I will have to see what
Did
the
you say
offerings are.
waffle and not falafel?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I need you to know that I'm partially deaf, so it's a
I
source
would
of
love a falafel
love
would be
you.
good too.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be great. But no, it is a penis waffle, not a penis falafel.
So how do you feel knowing it's a waffle now? Do you still feel as strongly, or
Yeah, no, I'll eat the waffle penis.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'll take the falafel. I love falafel.
Yes,
So.
definitely.
We have a new thing. Move over waffle penis. We're going to make the Toronto variation, the falafel
Yes.
penis.
Yes.
All the hummus is inside.
Gross. Oh my God. Oh, that's
Next story.
disgusting.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. My God. Okay. In some good news that I'll believe when I see it, Liberal delegates endorse a universal basic income, but also, sorry, this is boring, reject capital gains tax hike. So they want to give us all some money, but not take it from the rich people first. Thoughts on UBI?
I mean, I'm for it. I mean, I think the CERB saved so many of us during this pandemic. And I think, gosh, I wouldn't have to hustle my wares on TikTok. I mean, I still would, but
Yeah.
I'm for UBI. Now, hearing capital gains, what is a capital? But it reminds me, I haven't done my taxes yet. So thank you.
I believe that capital gains are like the interest you earn on stuff, but I might be completely wrong because I'm also not the kind of person who has them, but they get either not taxed or taxed at a lower rate. So if you have like a lot of investments that earn you money,
right,
you don't pay much tax on it.
Which is different than a wealth tax, because you can still raise the tax on income over a certain amount of money, but a lot of wealthy CEOs defer their pay into stocks and such, so they don't have to pay taxes on them. So I think that's where the issue becomes, is that there's a way to divert income. So yeah, finding a way to pay for those things. I also think there should be an inheritance tax. People call it a death tax sometimes, but like it's supposed to be a bit of a capitalist society. It's just to prove like your worth. Getting money from dead people is not creating capital. It's just taking money from dead people and then spending it however you want. So I think there's ways that we can tax the wealthy. So rich.
Yeah.
Veronica, do you have any thoughts on taxing the rich?
Well, the only thoughts I have are on the Liberals. I've always had this joke where, the Conservatives know exactly what they're going to do. The NDP knows exactly what they're going to do. And the Liberals are like, I don't know, I'm going to do whatever you guys want to do.
Well, we'll look at your Instagram.
The Liberals are the friend who doesn't know where they want to go for dinner.
Yeah,
exactly. They just want to go where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're me. Even though I don't vote for them, but
But we know you're not getting falafel for dinner. We know that.
Yeah. No strong opinions on that.
Give me that falafel dick.
All right. Well, we've got a little medley of COVID-related news here. First of all, 1 in 3 survivors of severe COVID diagnosed with a mental health condition, which sounds bad. But who knows? I think none of us are mentally all that great. I can't imagine feeling good after having
thank
COVID.
you. I'm saved.
Yeah. But even if it doesn't, this is some disturbing news. But volunteer cats from COVID households wanted for new study. And I love it whenever there's a COVID cat story because they always put a great cat picture on with the article. I do not know if this cat was infected. So they're trying to find out if your cat can give you COVID because they do know that cats can catch it, but they don't know if they transmit it to people. So if you have had COVID and you live in BC, your cat can help science. So please, I don't remember who to contact, but look it up. And here's some assholes in Leamington, Ontario. I am from Southwestern Ontario, and it sucks. Don't go there. Who opened their restaurant in spite of their restaurant being closed. I believe it's called Family Kitchen. And fuck off. Don't open your restaurant.
The story I want to run with is the cats, because that cat looks like he's studying for his undergrad midterm. Like if he doesn't pass this test, he's not going to get into the med school that his parents want him to get into.
Yeah.
And he's from an immigrant family, so it's really important that he succeeds. This cat has so much pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah.
That's what that picture looks like to me. You don't understand what it's like to be me. I feel like that the cat has a story.
There's a little cat book that he's looking up from. Really? A photo now? I have a midterm.
but when he doesn't pass the test, it turns out to be a blessing in disguise because he actually ends up having a successful career in the arts beyond any of our imaginations because he's a cat and the internet really lends themselves to that. Yes. And it surprises his parents. They don't want to say that they're proud of him for a very, very long period of time. But before they die, they finally do.
Well, okay. Now that we've heard Adam's screenplay about the cat and the COVID, the cat who may or may not have COVID, Veronica, any COVID cat thoughts? Yeah.
Well, I just want to address the first part of that. Maybe that addresses how many people actually have mental illness. I'm not trying to be funny right now, but maybe that just tells us how many people are mentally ill.
Yeah, and maybe they weren't getting it before, but they are now. They're getting their diagnosis because they're being examined for everything. So yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that being in crisis helps, help bring stuff out that might have been not at the surface before. Yeah.
When I think this whole pandemic has made us all have conversations about mental health that we were not having before, right?
Yeah.
And, certainly, what's a good thing that can come from a pandemic? But if it opens up communication and conversation around something that, frankly, in order to reduce stigma, we have to talk about, even if it is hard, then that is a good thing to come out of all of this.
Wow. You said we weren't having any serious news stories, Kristin. We've talked about mental health, capital gains, taxes.
Yeah. But here's another very serious news story.
I thought we were going to talk about the melted cheese man.
I missed that one. David Tennant faked having a personal assistant so he didn't have to attend events he didn't want to go to. So this is a great story because, first of all, David Tennant is a king among men and we should all love him.
He is. I love him.
So when he would get an email from someone asking him to go to an opening of a, garden party or whatever they do in England, he would send an email signed from a fake person he made up called Melissa something or other. And
pretending he was busy.
Yeah, he'd be like, I'm sorry, Mr. Tennant cannot attend. Just to send these terse emails from this fake person. But this article also tells you what you need to do to get David Tennant to do anything, which is ask him about 4 times. Because when people were persistent, he would just be like, okay, fine, whatever, and he would do it. So there you go, everyone. If you want David Tennant to show up at your birthday party, send him 4 invitations. And Melissa's not real.
Will he come to my birthday party?
You can try. He said 4 times, Veronica.
He would be the only person there, but that would be nice.
He's a VIP.
I love him so much.
It'll be you and Katie Muse and David Tennant all sitting in the VIP facing with that perfect posture. Janelle, would you like Tennant to come to your birthday party too? I think we can set things up now that we know his secrets.
Listen, if he duets me on TikTok, I'll take that. I mean, what I love about that story is how much effort, like he could just say no, but just how much effort people go to put up this ruse. I actually think I love that part of it. I'm like, you could just say no, like the first time.
Say no, I can't come.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to be mean, so he made up a fake person to be mean on his behalf, which is just great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Definitely.
All
I'm
right,
gonna hire an assistant just to tell people that I can't do things. Inspired by David Tennant.
Now it's time for our next segment, News from Space. This is science news.
Uh-oh.
Oops, went too far. So the moon actually has a tail made of sodium that wraps around the Earth like a laser. I believe whenever the moon gets hit by an asteroid or whatever you call them when they hit the moon, I think there's a different name for them. It kicks up some sodium which get caught in the Earth gravity, so it kind of goes around, which is cool. Perhaps more relevant or more interesting, the Pentagon confirms leaked photos and videos of UFOs are legitimate. Now, don't keep your pants on, everyone. They're not saying that aliens are real. They're just saying that these photos, that's a particular set of photos that some people think are of aliens, are real. So we've got the moon has a tail and aliens are not real, but some photos of them might be.
Well, Janelle, Veronica went first last time, so why don't we hear from you?
Yeah.
Of course,
I mean, so they're not saying there are aliens. They're just saying these photos that got leaked are real photos. So we know they're photos.
We know they're photos, that they weren't photoshops,
But they weren't photoshops. Yeah. So they won't say what are in the photos, but they'll say those are photos. So thank you. Thank you for confirming.
Yeah, UFOs don't mean aliens. They are literally unidentified flying objects. So it doesn't necessarily mean aliens, but we know it really is aliens. And secondly, can I eat that sodium trail?
I think it's like elemental sodium metal, so no, it's not recommended.
What if I go to the moon and I just like grab some chicken wings and I'm like, yeah, give me that salt.
Well, give it a shot. I mean, you never know unless you try, right? It's always good to have goals in life.
I can go with Elon Musk to the moon.
There you go. The moon salts, Mars base. Why not? Okay. More science news, typically about reproduction. Human cells grown in monkey embryos spark ethical debate. This sounds like an extremely good idea. So there have been a couple of... So you can grow like a human animal hybrid critter. I don't think they ever let them go very far, but this is like basically to like regrow organs or something like that, I think is the idea of it. But it's like, if you make a monkey person hybrid, is that a monkey or is it a person? This is getting very Planet of the Apes and I don't like it. Yeah. And
we are monkey people hybrids, so.
Exactly. A woman got pregnant. Well, she was already pregnant. So she got pregnant twice. This happens really rarely. It's called superfetation, and it usually is associated with like reproductive medicine. So, which is, also nice, good news because it has 2 babies at the end of them. And I didn't get the picture, but the article had a super cute picture of the babies. So yay, double babies. But oh my God, imagine being pregnant and then getting more pregnant.
Yeah, double babies.
Well, how many couples have sex while the wife is pregnant or the girlfriend is pregnant or the trans man is pregnant? And they're like, you can't like that's like one of those like sex without guilt time periods, like in that early glow period where it's like everything's safe, nothing bad can happen, you're already pregnant, and then no, now you're gonna have another
you're more pregnant. Yeah,
I mean, it can happen. I mean, these stories are, I don't know where you find them, but this is amazing. The monkey one scares me a little bit, but if it's for a good purpose, I can maybe get behind it. But I hear you when you're with the Planet of the Apes. Like, I feel like we're in a movie. Maybe this is all just a movie and we haven't gotten to the credits yet. Like everything going on.
Yeah.
Like suddenly you're walking down the street one day, someone yells cut, and it turns out you're Meryl Streep.
I mean, are we talking, isn't that a Truman Show? Isn't that the movie with Jim Carrey where he doesn't know he's being,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a timeless one. It keeps coming back up. It felt like who did they know they were making such a timeless movie? Because they were just making a movie about like reality TV at that time, I think.
right. Yeah.
Right. Like, and it turned out to be this thing that we keep going back and thinking about. That's a really good movie. Maybe when this is done, I'll go and watch. Instead of watching the
Truman
Oscar
Show.
movies that I've given myself the task of watching, I'll just rewatch the Truman Show.
Yeah.
See, Adam is all up on pop culture and watches like good things, and then I just like watch Columbo and Fraggle Rock and stuff like that. So
You really? Columbo?
Yeah, I like
Oh.
yeah, Columbo. Yeah, Columbo's great. Watch Columbo. Watch only 50-year-old television. It's excellent. No, it's not, but it's fun. But yeah, I don't know. Like, what if you got double pregnant with monkey embryos? Like, what about that? Has anyone thought about that?
Oh, don't do that.
Well, it's definitely not going to happen to Adam.
Oh. Listen, who
He's not gonna
knows
go
what's our next story gonna be?
I've already had to mourn my infertility. I've already shed my tears on that. I am at peace with the fact that the baby that I thought that I was going to have is a fairy off in the ethereal somewhere. Just it never happened. So
Well, maybe we could do to you what they did in Twins. And
There you go. There's some more
instead of-
ancient media.
it is not the
Was that the
Puma.
movie?
It's yeah. I don't want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Next story.
There's enough bullying, Adam. Okay. Well, this is actually our last story for the night, and we'd love to end with a feel-good story. So here is the great tale of a Black family who had a beach property in California. This was like a beachfront resort in the 1920s, which sounded super cool. And the family who owned it were at first, they were threatened by the KKK and with lots of, in all the ways which you can imagine. And then eventually, because they refused to sell up or move, the city just took it because they can do that. It's called eminent domain. So finally, this property is being given back, or the value, or there's compensation going to be given to the descendants of these people who had their business and their livelihood stolen from them. And it's worth a shit ton of money because it's beachfront property in California. So good. Got some actual good reparations action happening.
Yeah.
Good.
There's maybe not a lot to say about this one.
Yeah, like
but
we're
it's
all
yeah.
just, we love this story.
Yeah.
Yay.
Good. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
It's a good opening to the talk of reparations and the fact that Black people have not only built the economy of North America, and it's not just like we like to think of the States, but actually the economy of North America and other like tangent like France's economy, because they turned a lot of the cotton that was produced in the States into product in France. So you can actually tie global economy to American slavery. And so after slavery ended, there was like Tulsa and all these things where Black wealth was built up, and then it was taken from them again. And then they've been like just like how many times can a community build up wealth and then just have it ripped away from them? Yeah, reparations is a serious topic of conversation that we should be more willing to have and not treat as something that's just like never going to happen. And I think that this article is great because it shows that some sort of reparations can happen. And this is one
and that it's like something that's easy to do, right? It's like there's mechanisms already there for it. It's like, oh, okay, well, this was taken from you. Now it's like municipal property. It's like, oh, now the city is going to have to pay compensation and pay rent if they want to keep using this to these people. So they can be not made whole, but have some, some justice done to them for that loss. So, and that it's not like people are like, oh, it'll never happen. It's like utopian. It's like, no, it's actually pretty simple. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's weird to talk about this stuff because we're all white people. And I know Adam knows that I'm Métis, but I still have white privilege, even though I'm mixed. And, I always feel weird talking about race. And I feel like it's not my conversation to have. But I always want to know, like, what can I do to make things better? Like, what can I specifically do to help?
Well, I think that's really valid. But I would say that, from the reading that I've done, I think race is a conversation that white people do need to be comfortable having, especially with other white people. It's never a white person's place to tell someone who's racialized, this is right and that's wrong. Even if you've like read all the information, even if you've just finished reading the new Jim Crow, with all the information about how incarceration happens in the US, if the person you're talking to is Black and they don't believe any of that, don't argue. Like, don't argue with people who are racialized when you're not.
Of course, yeah, never.
But I think there's a responsibility that white people have, that we can have reasonable conversations about race, and it is our conversation to have too, because at the end of the day, policy needs to change. The way that you solve racism is through policy, and the only way that changes is if we have these conversations, so we know what impacts the policy changes we want to have will have. Like, where should we be driving the car, right? Like we have to figure that out together. And like, you think about apartheid in South Africa, it only ended because white people voted for it to end, because Black people weren't even allowed to vote. So there was an election to end apartheid that only white people could vote in. And so to end apartheid, white people had to make that choice. And so I think the same things happen here, where we have to be like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on, and maybe we should be aware of how we think about it affects things. Like, I think there should be reparations for the war on drugs. I don't know what we can say about, especially in Canada, because we didn't have the same relationship with slavery that America did. It would be a harder thing to figure out because a lot of our Black population comes from the Caribbean, and there's a whole other stuff about that. But one thing we did do was we took part in the war on drugs. And right now the government is making a lot of money, and white people are making a lot of money off of legalized marijuana in Canada, while communities of color are in prisons. And how can we take the money that we're getting from taxes on drugs and turn that into reparations for the communities that got damaged by the war on drugs, right? Like, that's something that we can have a conversation about. And it doesn't matter what your skin color is. You can at least know that that is a good idea and get behind that.
Well, the NDP actually had a petition going around that tried to recognize the Proud Boys as a terrorist organization, and I signed that. But I feel like, I could do more. I should be doing more than that.
Well, we all seem to agree, do some drugs and eat a penis waffle, right? Like, those are our takeaways from the show today.
Yeah.
And we're all
learn some policy. Listen, learn some policy. Yeah. Then do some drugs. Then eat your penis waffle.
There you go.
But learn the policy first, so that you remember it.
Yeah. And you associate it with good things.
And you associate it with, create a positive association by doing the other thing. There we go. Janelle, before we close off the news segment, is there anything that you want to add to our reparations story?
Oh my goodness, we've covered so many topics in here. I hear, but Adam, I hear you. I think we all have to be a part of the conversation, and talking about policy, I link it back to what's happening in Ontario right now, where we have all this data that racialized communities have been affected so much more from COVID. It's about holding the people that we have in power to be giving the support to the people who need it, right? And we all kind of have to be united in that, because that's how we're going to get out of this. And some of us have suffered more in this pandemic than others, and but I think we have to hold our people in power accountable. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.
We're coming to the end of the show. Before we go, can you remind everyone where they can find you online?
Of course, I'm at Janelle M. Hannah, pretty much on all the things. And Wilson will be there too. We're back together for anyone who's following this relationship. He came crawling back, as they always do. So
excellent. And Veronica Schwartz?
Yo, what?
Where can we find you?
What? Sorry, you'll have to repeat
you on the internet. Where can we find you on the internet?
Oh, it's Veronica Schwartz. It's my name.
Fantastic.
Right,
and we're taking a week off, so we'll come back on May 15th. On May 15th, we are going to have some excellent guests. We have Sean Erker and Jamie Johnson from Streams and Variations joining us, and we have visual artist Vashti Hawkins joining us as well. She's going to talk about some of her acoustic paintings, and we're really excited to meet with them in a month after this lockdown is done, and or a gray zone, or whatever it is.
Down
We'll get there.
I feel like there's a white rapper who's done something with Lockdown Talk Down in like the 90s that we can find, but
instead of play out of
the
Kristin Mueller, Heaslip, why don't you sing us all out, and we'll all see you all on May 15th, everybody.
Absolutely. Let me remind you once again, you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/thisisatalkshow, and that I will be happy to read your name on the air, even if it's a dumb joke. And you can also check out Adam on the Streams and Variations podcast, episode 6. This sounds like a very complicated project and kind of awesome, so check it out. And also don't forget the Middle-Aged Candy Store is a podcast I'm involved with. Adam was a guest. Adam did a voice in Skate With Me on episode 7, I think. And also my album, A Present from a Small Distant World, is out now. Please buy it for some more weird music. And instead of singing, because my keyboard is broken, I'm going to close out with a little unaccompanied song, a traditional song called When I Was a Young Girl. When I was a young girl, I used to seek pleasure. When I was a young girl, I used to drink ale, right out of the alehouse and into the jailhouse, right out of the barroom and down to my grave. Come mother, come father, and sit you beside me. Come mother, come father, and pity my case. My poor head is aching, my heart it is breaking. My body is broken, and hell is my home. I want 3 young ladies to bear up my body. I want 3 young ladies to bear me along. I want them to carry a bunch of white roses to lay on my coffin as I pass along. When I was a young girl, I used to seek pleasure. When I was a young girl, I used to drink ale, right out of the alehouse and into the jailhouse, right out of the barroom and down to my grave. We'll see you Fraggles on the 15th, because me and Adam are going to be dancing around maypoles and having revolutions and stuff on May 1st. So we'll see you all then. Bye-bye.